think we'll go ahead and just get started to make the most of this hour. I want to welcome you to our a final session in the series for 2021. This series is hosted by Career Ladders Project. Thank you, CLP, for that, and funded by the California Community Colleges Office and the Visions Resource Center. So without them, we wouldn't be able to have this series. Thank you very much. My name is Lupe Daniels, Lupe Carvajal Daniels. I am a founding member of the California Counseling Network, a proud member of that, and have been a counselor for many years. It's my pleasure to host this session today on behalf of CLP. I want to begin by affirming that we reside on Indigenous lands of over 100 Indigenous groups and First Peoples in California. We sit on the land of the Ohlone, the Miwok, and the Pomo here, where this session is being broadcast in the Bay Area. We recognize that we benefit from the use of this occupied land, and we have the responsibility to assert our relationship with Native peoples. So with that, I would like to let you know that our series has been the lessons from the pandemic and implementing systemic changes in counseling and student services. Today's focus is going to be on building technology with students at the center. So next, please. As you saw when you logged into the room, this session is being recorded. The entire series has been recorded, and you can get to those recordings and resources by going to the CLP website and also the Vision for the Vision Resource Center. Later today, we'll be asking you for feedback to this session and to the series, and also to give us any ideas that you have for future sessions. So please bear that in mind as you're listening to today's session, and make notes, and please be ready to add those. Next slide, please. The Career Ladders team, who has put on this series and also hosted the CACN series last year, was put on by this fabulous team that are my colleagues, led by Luis Chavez, the Senior Director for Career Ladders Project. Myself, along with other consultants, were part of the planning team. Valeria Torres, and Cristina Sandoval, without which none of this would have really happened. So thank you very much for your collegiality. Next, please. So the series, you see the series and what it started in September. And like I said, this is the last in this series. We are building on our purpose that's in line with the Vision Resource Center, that is to facilitate support-centered change in counseling and student supports to help students reach their goals, right? To exchange strategies that improve student success and to build on lessons and innovation. So to help us to meet these goals, we ask you to please post your questions in the chat. This is our opportunity for a discussion-based roundtable. You can see that we've gone from entry to social justice, which has been a thread through all of the webinar series, looking at learning communities, building on human needs and undocumented students, at freeing them equitably, with a focus on careers, and this, our final one, building technology with students at the center. So thank you, Career Ladders. And so for this particular session, if we go to the next slide, please. We have some goals for this session, which is to highlight challenges and successes as we've moved online, providing student support services. identifying technological advancements and platforms and initiatives that streamline our delivery of support services, and using technology to create equitable counseling support. So for the counselors in the group, um, that's why we wanted to ask you what your go-to is, so that we can start to share that information. So that's our goal for today. The way that the format is going to go is we have two guests today. We will ask each one of them a question, which they will expand on. And then I'll follow up with a short, maybe clarifying question, and then move to the second one. And once that's done, we're going to open it up for your questions. And if you've been posting them in the chat, we will reference those and have a vibrant discussion. So without any more, I want to move on to introducing our guests. I'd like to begin with Gabriel Martinez. Gabe is a counselor at Berkeley City College. He's a lot more than that to me. He's a colleague, he's fast becoming a friend, and he's been a member of the California Counseling Network. He is my tech guru, one of them, and really has a focus on technology with sound counseling. So I'm very thankful for you being here. Thank you, Gabe. Our second panelist is Valentin Garcia, a newer acquaintance to me, but certainly a long friend of Career Ladders and of Colegas. Val is the Vice President of Student Services at West Hills. He's also the Title IX coordinator there, as I understand, and is leading equity work there under a very significant grant. Congratulations to West Hills. You can find their bios in the chat so that you can find more about them. So thank you both very much for joining us today. I'm going to go ahead and ask Christina to spotlight Gabe, please, so that I can ask Gabe the first question. And it's actually a twofold question, Gabriel. What challenges have counselors encountered with increased technology in your view? And how have counselors been involved in technology decisions that have aided counseling and student support services?
Thank you, Lupe. And again, thank you for allowing me to participate and inviting me for this discussion today. So in thinking about the first question, the increased technology, one of the main pieces that we've been discussing in our counseling in our district is just it's been compounded with the challenges of working from home. And our district is still in the process of returning to campus. It appears we're going to be back in January. So I know some of you out there have already returned and working either a blended schedule or a full schedule from your location. So we're still encountering some challenges. On a more personal note, a lot of folks talking about the lack of human connection, students joining online appointments and leaving their camera off, that type of situation that has been affecting us since we all started working from home back in, what was it, March of 2020. And so that's been a piece that we've been discussing and trying to have other activities within the counseling group to sort of boost morale in that sense and feel more connected with each other. We've had a lot of challenges with folks having all types of quality of internet. Of course, that's the increase in using technology that's brought about a lot of challenges, people losing internet for the day, low quality where they can't fully engage on a Zoom session. Maybe their video has to be turned off, things like that. A lot of challenges working from home in terms of quiet spaces. Of course, that's a challenge for across the board, student, staff, faculty, administrators, and the students as well. So having a quiet space to use this technology and stay as productive as possible in our jobs. We have a lot of people working with not the most ideal setup for the technology that we need to use in terms of a lot of counselors using laptops, loaner laptops from work, maybe not being able to have their own full computer setup. at their home location, whereas at the office, a lot of us had full computers with towers, maybe a dual screen, easier access to IT when we have trouble. So that's been a big challenge with using increased technology lately. And hopefully that'll shift as we return to campus for the next semester. Training has been another big topic for us. Getting the majority trained when we've shifted to using new technologies in this remote era has been a big challenge. And so just trying to find ways to further support those on our team who maybe are a little bit less tech savvy and need maybe some additional time with someone who's much more comfortable with the new tools that we're using. So some one-on-one work where they can kind of screenshot with each other and walk through some things has been a challenge. That's something that we're working through and hopefully can make bigger leaps in as we return to campus and we can work with some of those individuals directly in person. One thing that is going to be a challenge that we're planning for is this return to campus phase. And in particular, we're going to initially start out with blended schedules. So we are going to have counselors working certain days from the office and certain days still from home. And so making sure everyone's set up properly to do both locations in terms of technology and equipment. And also there's a lot of talk currently about high flex, or also called hybrid flexible courses. And so that's something that I believe is in our resources list, but that's coming up quick. And there's a lot of talk in particular with people involved with distance education at our campus and our district about it. I know it's coming, it's on the radar for a lot of places around the state and the country. And so as counselors, being ready to support students who are going to try to engage in courses where there's multiple modalities at the same time, right? So someone teaching a course where they have students in the classroom at campus, they have other students live in the moment, also connecting through cameras and use of cameras and microphones, and those students being able to engage properly, and the challenges that are going to come with that is something that we're trying to prepare for and have discussions about. So that's another big one. And I would say when changes are made, we've everyone has started working from home, and now with the returning to campus, getting on IT's list, right? Getting in the queue so that your needs can be met by the IT department. Those lines feel longer than they were in the past. So sometimes things that feel urgent don't get handled quite in the timely manner that we'd like. And we have some new technologies we've been using that happened during the pandemic shutdown, and we've been struggling to be able to customize some of them to the needs, and so that students can access them easier. So those are some of the main challenges. And then one that's a little bit more personnel related for counseling is we did have folks retire, and some of those folks were leads on specific projects involving technology and data. And at times we were able to transition that info, and at times we sort of lost some key pieces that we're rebuilding. So that's also been a challenge related to the shutdown and folks retiring with this very challenging period that we've been going through. And you already asked the second question, I believe, so I'm going to just jump right into that. Is that okay?
Sure.
With that?
Yes,
okay.
please.
Being involved in the technology decisions in terms of counselor involvement's been really crucial. And I always like to point out in gatherings that, counselors, we have a really nice, unique perspective of the higher ed institution and how we operate as a team, but also as individuals. And at the large scale, macro and micro level, so large and small scale, we see student concerns, we see challenges in our student services area, we see challenges in the instructional area. And there's not a ton of groups or individuals or departments or programs on campus that do all three of those at the same time, right? They might do one or two of them, but maybe they're not directly interfacing with students as much, but they see the macro level of the student service division or the instructional division. And so we're always trying to find ways that we can bring in the challenges that students are having with technology, bring in the student perspective, getting them involved when decisions are made, because we know that's going to make our job go smoother in the end. We end up being the front line that the students come to when they're having trouble. We had our student info system had an upgrade and a lot of things were changed. And so we ended up being the place where students were sort of expressing their concerns or any glitches they noticed. And so that's, a big piece of our role is advocating for them and elevating those concerns in sort of like a summarized manner so that they can be dealt with at the administrative and IT level. We've been really fortunate that the admin have recognized some of that unique perspective that we have and empowering us in different ways, whether it's release time or stipends or a project in the summer. So we've been really fortunate to create a culture where the admin are getting us involved in different ways in terms of accessing data, sitting on various committees, making decisions about tech platforms that might be adopted in the future. So when we're deliberating a few options for the future, having counselors and student service folks on those committees has been really a great opportunity for our point of view to be involved.
Yeah.
And we have some committees that have been around for a long time. We started using a system called PeopleSoft for our student info for our SIS many years ago, and a committee came out of that was spearheaded by counselors. And so that committee continues to this day, and we really are a place where we can sort of gather what are the challenges and start researching and looking at ways to improve and customize and create solutions, right? Not just complaining and pointing out what's wrong, but trying to be part of that larger team that creates solutions and resolves these problems.
I think that's great because, being involved in the process and being involved in the decisions is what's key. And with technology, our experience was that suddenly we had to depend on a lot of technology. And now as we're considering moving back, I wonder just if you can have a quick reflection on, are there tech decisions that were made before that maybe you're letting go of now?
Oh, that's a tough one. I know a lot of schools are going through this right now. We hold on to, I know a lot of schools use SARS grid for a lot of the calendaring and scheduling functions,
Right.
and we hold on to it for so long. And classified and counseling in particular, we've been using it for such a long time. And when we're considering shifting to other options. And so that's one that is going to be very challenging to let go of. And I don't think our district is planning to get rid of it anytime soon, because it's going to be a slow transition, and so much history of student appointments is held and notes and other details are held. So that's going to be a very difficult one to let go of if it ends up going in that direction. And hopefully we can replicate all that functionality and other tools that will be a little bit more future facing, because we have had a lot of challenges with some of the limitations of SARS as well.
Great. Well, and that's one that very many of us are familiar with. So thank you for that. And thank you for your thoughts and insights. I'd like to move to Val now and highlight you, Val, and tap on you from a slightly different lens. And so if you wouldn't mind answering, Val, speaking about increased technology, what challenges have counselors, how do you, is there a set of principles that guide your decisions as the VPSS at a time of crisis or a disruptive situation from your lens, kind of larger of support services?
Right.
How has that gone?
Great. First of all, thank you all for being here today. And also thank you all very much for all your work. The work that you have done has not gone unnoticed and has been very, very important to the sustainability of our students as far as their success and continue on their pathways. So I don't know each of you individually, but I do know your work and the positions you hold as counselors or leaders in student services. And from an outsider, I want to tell you how grateful I am from all of our students to all of you, because I think it's very important the work you do. So as far as the guiding set of principles, from an administrative perspective, and also it maybe will help you as you move from remote back to the classroom, or sorry, back to the counseling offices that you have. I have some principles I want to share with you. but I also want to let you know that West Hills College Lemoore has been back on campus for student services and faculty teaching since about May. Right now, we're currently 70% back on campus. So we're pretty much running almost to where we were pre-pandemic. We have a lot of safeguards and different things that we do. I can share with you much later, but to let you know, that's where we're at. But in order for us to get from where we were in March 2020 to where we're at today, we had to really look about how we were going to provide services to students in a remote environment, given the fact that we really had not done that. So what we relied on, what we call our North Star, first of all. One of our North Star is to make sure that we have an environment, teaching and learning as our focus. So no matter what we do, where we're at in our initiatives or how we're trying to enhance or promote student success at our campus, we always think of them. How whatever initiative we're having or whatever we're doing, how does it impact student learning and student achievement? And so with that, it kind of helps guide us and how we move forward in our desire to promote student success. Specifically in student services on my team, what we wanted to do specifically when it came to the pandemic and when it first hit, and as we moved back into campus, is we put out 3 principles to our team that we wanted to make sure that we asked ourselves as we move forward. One was, we wanted to ensure that whatever we did was mission focused. 2, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel, and I'll go into detail on some of these in a second. And 3 is we had to make sure that we all understood that change was inevitable and change was going to reoccur, and it was something that we had to embrace. So first, to stay mission focused, what we found out, or we wanted to get away from, I should say, first of all, was as the pandemic and all of the outside issues that were occurring started to impede on us, we didn't want it to stop what we were already doing. One of our mission statements is we wanted to ensure that we were relentlessly pursuing student success. And so we wanted to keep that at the forefront of our mind, because if it wasn't student focused, we didn't want to engage in it. And what I'm talking about are new vendors or new apps or anything that was going to take us away from students. That led us into, we didn't want to reinvent the wheel. We wanted to make sure we leveraged every single opportunity that we had with existing programs or existing technologies. It's easy to start to think that there are other technological solutions, but in a remote environment, it wasn't going to work for us. And we wanted to do is ask ourselves, how can we leverage Microsoft Teams better? How can we leverage a program that we have called Civitas, Inspire for Advisors? Some of you may use something different for your note-taking system or student support system. We also want to talk about how we can enhance our Zoom efforts. Each of these 3 technologies, we were already implementing it to some degree, but we didn't want to reinvent the wheels. What we wanted to do is really embrace those technologies and enhance them, scale them up to their full utilization for a number of reasons. One, our faculty, staff, and counselors who are faculty were already familiar with all of these systems. So we didn't want to put something new on their plates in a remote environment. And 2, we didn't have the money. Even though we had HERF funds coming in or CARE funds coming in, those aren't sustainable funding sources. Those are one-time funds, and we didn't want to put all of our efforts into something that we could not sustain and that would weigh on the general fund moving forward with all the uncertainty that we had with the economy already. So we wanted to keep everything stable, specifically our finances. So we really want to make sure that was a top consideration for us and continues to be a top consideration for us, because if the economy goes down, we have to change and reduce our support for classes and systems and services for our students. So we didn't want that. And then of course, accepting change. That's one of our biggest ones. Moving through the pandemic and back into the campus, was that we had to understand that change was inevitable. It was going to occur literally all the time. Many of you are aware we have a new variant called Omicron. It's shaking up a lot of what we're doing as far as starting our plans for graduation for the spring, for some different events we had planned for the spring. we're already starting to pull back a little bit and start to assess where we could be. But we have to accept that, and we have to understand that and always make a plan A, a plan B, and a plan C, just because we don't know what's ahead of us. And those were our 3 guiding principles and still remain to be our guiding principles as we move back on the campus. They've been something that we really hold really strongly to, and it's helped us develop what we call our student services core 4. So we have 4 technologies that we really hold on to and that we promote our professional development from, and that we really try and assist our service providers, frontline staff, and faculty counselors in making sure that they're comfortable with the technologies. That would be Civitas, Inspire for Advisor, our SIS system colleague, Canvas, and Microsoft Teams. And so that's kind of our 3 principles and how we've kind of looked at these different technologies and how we've tried to keep them streamlined for our faculty and for our frontline staff.
You know, to be frank with you, I totally got stuck on that you are 70% back since May. I think you're a real outlier in that.
Well, we're 70% back since August. We're 100% back student services since May.
Yeah, that's just, I think I just went a little dizzy right there for a little bit, but I can see where your guiding principles aided in that. I'm interested to know just briefly, one of your drivers. What was one of your drivers to get back to face-to-face?
Students. We were losing students.
Enrollment. And how did that?
And enrollment's a piece of it, but really, truly, it was what we were hearing back from students. I give you an example. In fall 2019, we had, let's just say, I think it was over 3,000 appointments. And then fall 2020, we dropped down under 2,000 appointments for our counselors and advisors. Wow. And now being back on campus, we're exceeding 2019 numbers for appointments. So that told me right away when I looked at the data, comparing fall 19 to fall 20, that our students we were missing them.
Yeah.
And we were losing out on those appointments. So we needed to make sure we got back on campus.
Yeah, you really found that students were engaging with their feet, right?
Yeah, their feet. But what we've also found, though, just kind of a side note here, is that students really want flexible services. In our focus groups and in their comments to us, they enjoy the Zoom opportunities because a student who gets off at 5 can't necessarily make it across the city to make an appointment, but having Zoom available right outside their car is very convenient. So they've also liked the flexible services for phone calls, and then of course the face-to-face. So those are very important for us.
I'm sure you're both going to get questions. Thank you very much, Val and Gabe, as we move on to the next section. And so we'll go ahead and go to our PowerPoint for just a second, because we would be nothing if we didn't ask our audience to answer a question as well before we get started. So I want to offer you 2 questions, and you can decide the one that you want to answer. And then we'll give you a couple of minutes to reflect on and post your answer in the chat, please, audience. The first is, after hearing our speakers, for students who have tech barriers, what ideas did you hear from panelists that you think might help? Either in your strategy or what that is. Or you can answer the question, do you have other tools or strategies that have worked on your campus or for your campus, and can you share those? For instance, it might be that there's been some behavior changes that happened on campus. So we'll give you a couple of minutes of silence, and then we'll move on to the Q&A portion. So please answer those questions in the chat. Feel like I should be going ding, 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 ding. I see a question in the chat about the dip in services. Has technology helped you with that? Has anyone in our audience maybe used something to increase that technology? We'll go ahead and open up and see if you have a question during our discussion. We do have some questions that were posted earlier. Then we can entertain your questions as well. So if you have questions that come up as we're chatting, please just put them in the chat. You can either address the speaker or just post it as a general question. So with that, let me open up with this to either one of you, Gabe or Val. So, you know, many colleges have lost the less tech-oriented students. How do we capture those who do not have access or are less comfortable using technology that help them adapt, even in a hybrid sort of situation that you described, Val? So any thoughts on that, please?
I actually, that was exactly what popped in my head when I saw the question that Luis posed. We've seen this situation where with our enrollment has declined, and we're hoping, as Val mentioned, that we'll see it level out as we fully incorporate the on-campus portion of our work. But in terms of counseling, we saw drop-in services decline in terms of number of students seeking that, whereas appointments went up. We have a space crunch at our campus in terms of offices as a downtown setup. We're not the traditional spread out college campus. And so actually having counselors work from home allowed us to offer more appointments to students. And of course, drop-in services is a key piece of it in terms of getting certain needs met. But we know the appointments sort of can, and developing those student ed plans is a big piece to that long-term planning for a student and getting them towards their goal or identifying their goals. So we were able to offer more appointments, and that was nice to see that increase. And but we know that we're losing students who either cannot connect via tools like Zoom or ConnectSet and Cranium Cafe, and or they prefer not to. And we know that that's affected enrollment. Those students have stepped out. We're hoping that a lot of them will be returning as campus reopens. We're going to be moving up to, I believe, 60% in person of our courses offered for spring 22. So a little bit behind maybe where Val and his team are, and we're hoping to go in that same direction. But yeah, I would love to hear folks' thoughts on reaching out to students who are less tech savvy.
Well, do you have thoughts on that? Because you certainly, had to have experienced some of that as you came back.
We found phone calls is a really good way to get students engaged. And we have our student ambassadors making a lot of phone calls to students that have either withdrew from classes, they did the application, went through most of the process, but didn't register fully. And also students who just during the course of the semester dropped out. And those phone calls have been enormous because we've texted them, we've sent messaging through our different technology apparatuses, but a phone call is the best way for the students, especially if they're not technologically savvy, or for our returning students. Like we find many of our veteran students are following that category, where they're not real comfortable with the technology. So we have our team in the Veterans Office really make sure that they're calling them constantly. Same with the CalWorks group, who work with those returning students also. So good old-fashioned communication through phone call has been most effective for us.
Yeah, kind of a stepping back, right, to the technology that people are most comfortable with.
Right. And, I think there's a desire or a thought that automatically we're going to flip the culture of what we've been doing for 30, 40, 50 decades, whatever it is, automatically go technology. But our students still are our students, right? They still want that connection. They still need to be, spoken to face. They still want that. So a blended approach, and where you find that balance, I think totally depends on your culture of your campus and your district. But a blended approach, I think, is the way we have to move forward.
I want to pose a question that I see in the chat, and it says, my experience has been that I have returned as a counselor 100% on campus. Although students have many options, the huge majority prefer to the convenience of online meetings. Why is the huge push for me to be here on campus when I am doing all my appointments virtually or over the phone? I am flexible and going with the flow, but just curious to see if this is what other counselors are seeing. And so I see you nodding, Gabe, and I'm wondering how that's been bridged on your campus, Val.
I'll jump in really quick. Absolutely, that resonates a lot with me. Selika, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. It's a big discussion within counselors, when we've had our district-wide counseling gatherings and also our campus department meetings. And we're waiting to see what that's going to look like as we transition back. And we know that polls have gone out, and we've seen a lot of students prefer the convenience of the online meeting, as you mentioned, in terms of the responses. But we also know that the students that tend to respond to polls that are texted or emailed might not be the ones that we were speaking of earlier, that maybe have more challenges with technology, or are either exclusively or prefer, exclusively want in-person services or prefer in-person services. So that's a big piece that we're looking to tackle coming up, is balancing that out. And I want to recognize what Marta also mentioned. I think that's great. Just I love the approach of approaching each student with multiple options, right? And we're hoping that we can get all our technology set up to be able to do all three of those for each student in the moment as needed. And so that's our big task at this moment as we're planning for that return.
I really celebrate that too, because in the end, isn't that what we're supposed to be doing, right? As counseling and student support faculty and professionals, that we are serving our students in the way that we're meeting them where they're at, right? Val, did you have thoughts about how that was bridged on your campus?
Yeah, I think first of all, every district and every campus is different, different contracts, different cultures. So, I would definitely keep working within your structure, whatever it may be. For our campus, going back to our three guiding principles, mission focused. Our mission is to relentlessly pursue student success. And the way the district looked at it, and our staffs, is that in order for us to really do effective work on our campus, we needed to be on campus. And the result has been, again, going back to what Gabe said, the blended approach, having availability, whether it be walk-in or the Zoom or the phone call. Again, we've been back 100% in student services since May. And so this has been what we found worked for us. But I really appreciate the question, because it is something I think that long-term, every district and every campus has to resolve for themselves. Because again, not one size is going to fit all moving forward in this new environment, whatever it may be, when you guys all return to campus. This just worked for us. But I really appreciate the question, because it's something that comes up every so often still on our campus. And the way we kind of frame it is, we have faculty on our campus, teaching faculty, that are remote, but they still teach class face-to-face. So they even have a blended program, or blended load, you could say that. And so similarly, our faculty counselors on staff have a blended load. Right now, currently, they're on campus. In the future, doesn't mean it might be something we look at.
That's right. And I think you hit on the point, both of you did, that it really depends on your location and what students want, given your external environment, right? And what's possible with the culture of your campus and the the availabilities in your community.
Hey, Lupe, every time your comments always preface exactly what I'm thinking. We're like totally
Well,
in
that's because
tune
we
today.
practiced it.
But you mentioned access, and I know Marta posted another great comment about the location and that they're not an easy campus to get to, it appears. And so many prefer the virtual option. And I know on my campus, because we're in the middle of a downtown, we don't have any parking dedicated to our campus. And so that's always been a challenge. And I think that's pushed students more in that direction of preferring the virtual option, because coming, if they're taking a lot of online classes, coming for an appointment is a challenge for them, especially those who have to drive from farther out and paying for parking or finding somewhere far away and then walking in to the downtown area. So yes, to mention what Val said, everyone's location and situation is unique, and how can you work with
and
it?
just the last bit of for me with this topic, I guess, our appointments, because we've done a multiple modality, it's available for our students. Our appointments that have been missed are down by 40%. So our students are showing up to their appointments because of the flexibility and the ability to have access to the services.
Yeah, I want to thank Belen for her question, and then I want to come back to an early one if we have the chance. But Belen's question is tied to maybe an evaluation of sorts, which there was a question about that as well. But she asks if you can speak to how student satisfaction and retention levels, if you can measure that yet, compare when working with counselors via technology versus the campus method. And it might be, how strong is the counselor-student connection might be one way to look at it in terms of returning to the same counselor, or maybe other retention factors. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, as far as satisfaction, we did a survey before we returned to campus, and I think it was something like 65% of our respondents wanted the hybrid approach, multiple modalities available, because they really like the flexibility. As far as retention, like I said earlier, just if you look at it from appointments being missed as being an indicator of the level of satisfaction or the level of availability for our students to have access to the services, and then keeping up with those commitments, those appointments, 40% decrease in missed appointments says a whole lot. So I think that when counselors are working with, when students are working with counselors face to face and as only the option, I think it was really good. Of course, we did all the best we could, but opening up the world a little bit, what we've seen so far on our end has been an increase in again, number of appointments, and also been an increase on just students responding to a survey that said that they wanted that service.
Right. And there's different platforms. I wonder if there are platforms that you use, for instance, now there's increased ways to connect with a counselor, Gabe. When I was counseling, I used my phone, I used email, I used the platform. We used Cranium as well as Zoom, because that was easier for students to access. So is there a particular tool that you or your colleagues at Berkeley have used to help connect more easily with students?
We've, I won't repeat some of the ones that have already been mentioned, but I think one that we've had a lot of success with in terms of triaging students are, we're using a platform called Talk2. I believe it's free, actually, and maybe you can pay for a more advanced version. But we use Talk2 for live chatting. And so we have student ambassadors and other staff taking care of that in terms of, how long someone's searching on a web page. If you stay for a certain amount of time, a pop-up will show, kind of like how on other websites we go to for other purposes in our lives. So our main page has a team, and then a lot of the more popular sub pages, the counseling front page, for example, there's a team. And that's been really successful. The tools allow you to track You can set it for away messages if someone tries to access it during a time that it's not staffed, and then you can follow up. And but it's been really helpful in terms of triaging, getting students to certain forums, to other websites, to info for different resources. And I'm hoping we can continue to have that function, and ideally, as we go down the road with ConnectSed in the future, incorporating a lot of the live chat options that they build into their platform across student services, and being able to shift students between services seamlessly.
Yeah.
As opposed to having students have to juggle like multiple Zoom links to get to a place where they want to do quick questions, for example.
That's fabulous. Well, speaking of student services beyond counseling, there's been a number of questions around tutoring and academic support. So Val, thank you for answering those questions in the chat from your perspective. I'm wondering, sort of an expansion on that question is, in what ways is Berkeley supporting tutoring online? If you know that and could answer that, Gabe. And to what extent are counselors involved in either the communicating the delivery of the service, or in helping identify the service that will work, either through student groups or whatever it is?
As far as I know, the lead for our Learning Resource Center, they're using Zoom. They're Zoom based, and so they'll separate out with advertising on their website, links to different locations. They also use SARS for some types of tutoring that are more one-on-one or small group, so more appointment based. And then Zoom for the direct video interface. And that's going to be a huge one to set up when we return to campus. They're at this point, they're trying to mimic the amount of student services to match the amount of courses that will be offered in person for next semester. That was sort of like 60-40 split. And so we're trying to mimic at least that, if not more, for the student services side is what we've been told across the board from admin. So I think that's a really good goal to strive for, and then see how that first spring semester goes for us in that dual environment.
I think maybe this might be, if I could get a response from both of you about professional development and how the campus or the department, from whichever vantage you want to answer, is addressing the professional development needs, one for staff, faculty and staff, and also for students, so that they become comfortable as they come on campus with the technology that's being used. How are you addressing that?
So with us, we have all student services meeting every Friday. And I use that time for two things. One, to inform the division, what are the changes coming and what's been happening in our area. And it's done via Zoom. So we carried over what we were doing during the pandemic all the way through even today. So every Friday this is done. The second part of that is that we also have time carved out, about 45 minutes, so that we can have any updates to Civitas, colleague, Canvas, or teams that are coming or have been implemented, and to work with the staff. This is frontline staff and counseling faculty to understand what changes were made, or get their insight or thoughts on what changes that are upcoming or were being looked at. And so we do a lot of that intentionally on Fridays at that specific time, because it's so hard to get everybody in one place at one time. And since we had that time carved out through the pandemic every Friday, we just held on to it as we moved back onto campus and kept that same format going. And we found it to be very effective as far as providing information to the division and or soliciting feedback, and providing professional development opportunities with regards to technology and changes that were occurring.
That's great, thank you. And you also are building on what was already in place and working and expanding on it. How about for either in your department or college-wide, Gabe, how is professional development provided?
Yeah, it's shifted a lot and been a big group discussion since the pandemic arrived. And it's no longer easy to just go down the hall and check with someone on something, right? I mean, we do text a lot within our department, but that was such a key piece of our sort of micro professional development. Our little check-ins, our getting a second opinion on something was just easy to walk down the hall and check in with a colleague. So with that option not available for a while, we've shifted we meet for 4 hours per month as a counseling department, twice for 2 hours. And we've decided to partition half of each meeting to focus on training topics. And we sort of built a list of all the stuff we want to get trained on that we haven't touched in a while, or new stuff that's sort of, specific to the work from home era and the pandemic era. And so, yeah, about half of all the time we meet now as a group is all focused, moving away from just kind of the traditional check-in, updates and committees reporting back and whatever's the hot topics that people submitted for the agenda. We've, shortened that portion and moved some of that to email updates, and then blocked off a lot of time for training, and the team built a really great list. And so we would have time to go out and sort of find who can train on this, who are guest speakers, is it going to cost money? Should we, do we hire the person, or they in-house and something they can do on their for free? So that's been a big shift in our department culture, in a sense.
It really has. And you both have shared how your campuses have responded, your groups have responded, and really created a more student-centered and student-friendly environment. I want to thank you for your time. I know that we have to move forward, but I really appreciate, and I think the audience there's been a number of questions that have been raised that speak to the importance of this topic and the value of your input and the information that you've provided. Thank you very much. Please take a moment and use the Mentimeter. It was posted to help us get some input and information from you. We did ask for questions. If we could go to the next slide. Mentioned earlier, this is part of our community of practice, the California Counseling Network. If you're interested in becoming part of that network, we appreciate and we invite your membership. And the link is posted so that you can opt in to the CACN. If you care to continue, as you continue with the Menti, and before we get to that, I also want to tell you about the CACN. And the next slide, please. As we move to the closure of this, let me just pause a second while you do your Menti to say, one of the most gratifying things, and I've been a part of, now this is the second series, is that it really brings counselors and student support services into a unified unit, into a space where frank and authentic discussion can happen, where strategies can be shared. So I really appreciate, again, the Chancellor's Office for hosting this, CLP for leading this directive, and the CACN colleagues across the state that help inform this series. We've had a Menti, so if you use the link and enter that code, you can answer a few questions, and we'll give it a second and then maybe start to see the response to the first question. Whenever you think that is something that you can do, you want to show the answers. We're seeing that, yes, informative. Thank you very much. You absolutely have been, and helpful. I think that this has been one of the most enjoyable sessions that I've heard. Thank you, sirs. But the entire series has been really informative and insightful. I can't see quite the rest of the words. Let me see. I will have one last question before we close for you, because we will be closing here just very shortly. But what is the thing that you would like the audience to hear as your takeaway statement? The one thing that you want them to to go back to their campuses or back to that virtual world, wherever we're headed, that you would like them to take from you?
Never stop improving. I love what Val was sharing about some of the culture they have within his division and the regular check-ins, the always innovating, always thinking with, getting student feedback and innovating and developing and fixing what we already have that's not working so that we can do our best for our students. That's the culture we want across the whole state, ideally, and something to always strive for.
Thank you, Gabe. Val?
And for me, thank you, Gabriel. For me, it's very, I think that urgency that we felt in March, I've said this repeatedly wherever I go, I'm going to keep on it, in March 2020, to help students, to change what we do to assist students, keep that energy, keep that anxiety, because it's what's driving our innovation, it's what's driving us to be better. Because before the pandemic, our students always needed us to do this. Unfortunately, it took a pandemic for us to get there, but here we are. But so now that we're here, let's not lose that. Let's keep going. Let's keep going for those students and those communities that need us so badly, all right? So that's the only takeaway you get from the day. I hope that's the best one. Thank you guys all for all you do. Much appreciated. And just keep up the great work.
Thank you very much. It looks like this session has been a resounding success by looking at how the ratings have gone. So thank you for your time. Audience, thank you very much. May the end of your term be fruitful, and may your holiday be restful, and may your energy continue as we continue to serve our students well. With that, I think we'll close. Have a good holiday. Please add in the Menti that any thoughts that you have for continuing series topics, we would welcome. And beyond that, know that it's open for the next few days. If you want to think about something and come back to it, you're welcome. Thank you very much for your time. Have a good holiday and a good end of term.